So this is one of the largest failures to date. I want to explain what's happening because right now this is impacting thousands and thousands of jobs, and this is impacting millions and millions of people. So what's happening? Well, before I get into this, all I ask is if you enjoy these daily updates, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. But what is impacting thousands and thousands of jobs and millions of people? Well, it's actually one company. One company is on the verge of a bankruptcy. This one company is going to impact the timing of products being delivered, not just to individuals, but to businesses. This is going to hurt. I've talked to multiple people just over the past week, and every single one of them, and these are people that work for this company that is going under. Every single one of these people are heartbroken. They were told that things were perfectly fine, and now we realize they're not. So what is this company? Well, look at this. It's actually Yellow. Yellow is a trucking company. And it says right here, this is from the Teamsters, the Yellow Trucking Company is headed for bankruptcy, putting 30,000 jobs at risk. Yes, 30,000 jobs. This is not going to be something that just, this company collapses and everything's fine, no big deal. No, this is going to hurt. This company, okay, just to give you an idea, they're about 100 years old. They bring in about $5 billion in annual revenue. This is not a small company. They have a lot of employees. They're all across the United States. Okay, they have 22,000 unionized workers. This is going to hurt. But here's something else you need to know of, right? So one thing I want to read you. It says right here, the trucking company whose 17.5 million annual shipments made it the third largest in the U.S. It had an outstanding debt of $1.5 billion as of March and has continued to lose customers as its demise appeared imminent. This is the third largest trucking company in the United States, and they're going under. Okay, but one other thing that you need to be well aware of is how they did over the past couple of years. Okay, I want to read you this right here. Okay, look at this. It says Yellow sued the Teamsters in June after alleging it was unjustifiably blocking restructuring plans needed for the company's survival. Litigation the union called baseless. Goes on to say, O'Brien pointed to Yellow's decades of gross mismanagement, which includes exhausting a $700 million pandemic-era loan from the U.S. government, says, which the company failed to repay in full. Okay, that's where we're at today. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why did they get $700 million and a loan from the U.S. government? Well, one thing, they needed money. They couldn't go to the bank. They couldn't go and get the money the normal way. So what they do, like every other company out there, they got a loan from the U.S. government, which they tried to pay back, didn't. They failed. They failed to pay it back in full. Here's the reason why this is so big. This is Yellow. Okay? This company has 30,000 employees. This isn't the biggest company that took out a loan from the U.S. federal government. No. But they did take out a loan. They took out $700 million. Can't pay it back. Here's a problem. Right now, what we're hearing is that the economy's doing just fine. Look at this. This came out just today as well. It says private sector added 324,000 jobs in July, well above expectations. This is according to an ADP source. Okay? But at the same time, stuff like that comes out, you see articles like this, where Americans' dwindling excess pandemic savings could hurt chances of a U.S. economy's soft landing. That means we don't end up in a recession. But what is going on with these companies like Yellow, right? That is going to have to lay off thousands and thousands of workers, right? Like 30,000 as it ceases operations. Well, here's what I can tell you, and this is why this is such a big deal. I was somewhat skeptical when we went through the pandemic because the federal government was going to just give away money. They're giving away, thousands and thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, or hundreds of millions of dollars, right? You look at Yellow, they're just one company. But what about the airlines? What about the cruise lines? Okay? What about manufacturing plants? Right? What about the hotel industry? Okay? What about retail stores? These are all companies. These are all places that took out pandemic era loans. Think about this for a second. And let me just explain why Yellow is going out of business. Okay? They have been struggling financially for many years. But in the previous 3 years, we have seen stimulus like none other. Okay? Pandemic era assistance like none other. $700 million. Okay? This company got $700 million. Okay? $700 million as a loan. They're $1.5 billion in debt, okay, as of March. $700 million was going to help them, but if they couldn't pay it back, and this is why some say it's because of long-term mismanagement, but if they can't pay it back, then what happens? Well, here's what happens, and this is what is currently happening to many companies. So even though Yellow is just the largest company to date that has failed, the third largest trucking company in the United States, here's what's about to happen all across the board. So what goes on is that right now, all these companies they have all this debt that they've secured all this fairly low interest debt over the past few years. When I say fairly low interest, I'm not talking about 1%. Some obviously it's a little more than that. But here's the thing. They took out this debt. They signed on for these loans because they knew this pandemic wasn't going to last forever. They knew we were going to be fine. We'd get out of this. And then when we did, they would refinance that debt. Here's the problem. Currently, interest rates are the highest that they've been in decades. So now with interest rates at the highest they've been in decades, now companies are trying to go in and refinance their debt because they have no other option. Their interest payments are too much. It's taking all of their capital, and they can't reinvest it. They can't pay their employees. They can't invest into retirement accounts like they promised. Guess what? If their only option is to go and refinance a debt, they go and try to do it. You know what the banks are telling them? Sorry, you aren't going to qualify. It's too much. We're not going to take on that risk. So then what do? Well, that's where they have a problem because rates are too high. They are unable to take on another debt. They are unable to open up a new loan, try to get a better rate. So guess what? They're going to go bankrupt. That is what's going to happen. And this is why I was somewhat skeptical over the past few years about all these companies taking on these $1 million loans. Is because at the time it seemed like a good idea. It seemed like, okay, we are not going to lay off our employees, but at the same time we are going to go take on this debt. We're going to use debt from the federal government to make these payments to these employees. At the same time, giving them raises, same time bringing in more employees, at the same time continuing to invest into these employees' retirement accounts. Which, if you're working there and your promises, yes, they better be paying into it. Here's the problem. What was going to happen when all this free money went away? Well, we're seeing what happened. You can't refinance. You're not getting any additional income you're losing customers, your employees are mad, you're still getting raises, all this stuff, it's all piling on. And guess what? The company's going to go under anyway. And so this is why, bailing out companies is it's very difficult to do, because you bail out a company that in the future could potentially fail anyway. That's essentially what's happening here. So I just want to be very clear what's going on, because again, this is the largest failure to date for the trucking industry. But it might not be the last. Just think about this. If this company goes under, what's it to stop, the next company? And it might not be a trucking company. It could be a retailer. What happens then? Because this company's going to lose about 30,000 employees. What happens when the next company, and it could be, I'm not saying it's going to be a Walmart or a Target. What if it's Big Lots? What if it's Walgreens, Rite Aid? What if it's one of those companies? Well, we're going to find out very soon, because again, things are starting to hit the fan. And as they do, I promise I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. All you got to do is two things. First off, hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed today's update. I know it wasn't the greatest news, but I'm here to fill you in on the facts, not just the good news and the feel-good stories. So do that. Also, click that subscribe button and tick that notification bell so you never miss an update. And I will see you guys on the next one.